Welcome to the Catch Up with Claire. I'm your host, Claire Hoon, and every week we hand the mic to women who are showing up, speaking out, and figuring it out in real time. Because when women start talking, no topic is off limits. Careers, identity shifts, friendships, family dynamics, breakups, big dreams, bigger feelings, and yes, motherhood too. Think of it like calling your best friend on the landline in 1999. Lighthearted, unfiltered, and somehow deeper than you expected. Whether you're raising your kids, raising standards, or raising hell, this space is for you. So settle in. It's time to catch up. Welcome to the Catch Up with Claire. I'm your host, Claire Hoon, and this is June's solo episode. I cannot believe it's June. I was sitting here writing down my thoughts before recording, and there's just a disconnect in my brain about the fact that it is about to be June 1st. It's technically Sunday, May 31st, but you'll be hearing this on June 3rd. What a month of May it has been. I feel like I've lived an entire life, at least an entire year during the month of May. And I've just been reflecting back to May's solo episode, everything I was talking about that was going to be happening in May. Now it's all happened. And I'm tired, but I'm also so energized. Not but, we're working on that. I'm tired and I'm energized. Two things can be true. Both of those things are true. May has worn me out in the best way, and it has given me so much fuel and energy for what I'm doing, for the momentum. So let's chat about it. When I left off May's solo episode, it was all episodes being dedicated to Maternal Mental Health Awareness Month. I had no idea that recording that episode would lead to the amount of conversation. Meta ended up restricting my social media accounts because I talked about suicide, and it was an AI algorithm screening content and picked up on a clip that I posted of it, which was just wild to me. One, because my full-time job is in tech, and so I see all day the downsides of AI. And yes, there's so much power, but that it is a machine and it is fallible, and that's what it picked up when my clip was flagged. But then just the conversation that was sparked, all of the conversations I had in May were around people telling their story and experiences of postpartum depression, of women who work in the field. And I didn't expect going into it how heavy I think that would feel for me, because I went into it feeling so passionate about the month and that these stories needed to be told, and I still believe they do. But I think the accumulation of week after week, every story feeling so heavy because they were very heavy topics, the toll that would take on me and just sort of the emotional drain, it was a lot. It felt like a lot to carry. It felt like a lot of responsibility because of the women who raised their hand to share their stories. I wanted to do them justice, and I wanted the powers of the story to be known, because the goal is so that other women don't have to suffer. So I think I just felt a lot of responsibility in sharing their stories and making these experiences of postpartum known so that other women don't have to go through it. That being said, the feedback has been incredible, and so many people reaching out, and the women who came on hearing from their own circles of the impact of sharing their stories. That was what the purpose was. That's what it was all about. And so I'm glad that I did it the way that we did. And I'm also glad that June's going to look so different. I'm so excited. I feel like I say this every month, but the conversations that I've been recording the past 6 weeks for June, so different. So such a different group of women coming on. I'm really excited for the preview, for who's sharing their stories, for the conversations that are had. But let's still focus on May for a little bit because it was a whole month. I was counting up. I did 2 to 4 events every single week, all around motherhood, all around the mental load, maternal wellness, the conversation of motherhood in general. There was just a lot happening, which is great. It was all very good things. And going back to what I said at the beginning, I'm so tired. There was just a lot of connection that was happening, and I feel like 2 things. One, it was Maternal Mental Health Awareness Month, so a lot of conversation around moms and motherhood. And 2, I feel like we exited truly winter and entered this period of people wanting to get out. The weather in New York City has been so much nicer, people wanting to gather, like the long winter is past and we're ready to be out and about, we're ready to be social again. And it was before Memorial Day, so I feel like people have started and are starting summer vacations. A lot of people in the city go out to the Hamptons and Long Island or go to the Jersey Shore for the summer, at least for summer weekends. So I feel like we're starting to get into a little bit of the slower summer months here. And so I feel like everything was stacked back to back to back in May, plus the events that I started hosting. So maybe let's start there. Let's start with a recap of the events that I cooked up and have been talking about on social media, but they definitely deserve their own conversation here. Starting back with, well, let's talk about the idea of it. So the idea came to me in that having conversations with women on the podcast, very organically, the topic of the desire and the challenge to make new friends, female friends in adulthood would come up. We've heard women talk about joining Bumble for friends. We've talked about the desire to meet people and not knowing where or how to find community. And so many women have talked about if we want the village, we need to be villagers. But where do I go? I'm ready to be part of the village and I don't know where my village is. And so I really wanted to try and fill this gap by creating a series. I'm going to now call them experiences because events just feels very transactional to me. And that wasn't the point. I didn't want to create a single 90-minute, 2-hour event where people come, get together, and then leave and never think of it again. I wanted it to be an experience of connection where there is some sort of theme or concept or reason women were gathering, such as a clothing swap, such as a Pilates class, such as adult show and tell, for the purpose of the gathering. But what I really wanted was the conversation happening before and after and during and trading numbers and swapping Instagram handles and people feeling like they kind of found their people. And so that was the goal. I started, and it was important to me to have both motherhood centric, but also womanhood centric events that anyone really felt like they could show up at. Um, I feel like a lot of times mom events are focused and centered around the kid. And so there's the kid aspect, but then it becomes hard to chat with another mom because you're chasing your toddler or you're feeding your baby or your attention is split because naturally you're also in caregiving mode. So the first one was a clothing swap. I partnered with another mom in the neighborhood, Little Apple Pediatric Dentistry. Their office is so cute, absolutely adorable. Dr. Rachel, who owns the practice, is such a gem. I am so glad that I did this event with her because the way that it panned out, I mean, on paper could not have gone worse. In reality, it's like it feels like such a blip on the radar so long ago now. Um, we designed up a clothing swap, and the value of that being it was springtime. You're cleaning out your kid's closet from the winter. You're looking for new clothes. You want a place to swap out without having to spend a whole bunch of money on a new wardrobe for your kids. So there seemed to be value there, and I pulled it on my Instagram stories. Um, I just thought Saturday morning, in retrospect, like, it wasn't gonna be a good fit, but it felt like you could gather your wardrobe, you could come out in the morning before the chaos of Saturday and weekends ensued. We had bagels, we had coffee. 30 people signed up. We decided that based on the space of her office, 30 was a good, like, the maximum that would not feel overcrowded and people, like, squeezing through to get to racks. The downfall, I think, was that even though 30 people signed up, we knew 30 weren't gonna necessarily come. I should have capped it at, like, 50 and then accounting for if 20 people don't come, but 30 still come, great, there's so many people, instead of capping it at 30 and then only that many people could come. So many lessons learned. It was my first time doing any event like this. It was my first time using Eventbrite, which is what I had people register on so that we can know what to expect and send out communications. Um, I didn't know that you could scroll Eventbrite like a platform, like you do any other social media channel, just scroll and search events. So there were random people who I thought people would only find it through my Instagram page and through Rachel resharing it. That was not the case. People were just like registering for it. And I didn't know to make it private. And I didn't know that this is why people directly solicit, like, hey, come to my event in your inbox when you're DMing with people. Now I know that it's so that you can get the right people in the room, the people who want to form connection. Um, I also didn't think so I would get an email every time someone placed an order, but all it said is a new order has been placed. It didn't say detail. It said to say their name, but that was it. Until the day of the event, I didn't click into that to see that you could book multiple tickets under a single order. So one woman went through and, like, I don't think she did this intentionally, but she must have, like, without refreshing her browser, like, it must have taken a long time, just kept hitting submit, 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 submit. So she registered for 7 tickets, which means the maximum number of people that could have already come was 23. And then I started looking at it and someone else registered for 3 tickets. And so then it was down to 20. And it ended up, if you followed along on social media, one person showed up, and that was kind of a bummer. Um, Leading up to the event, I was chatting with a couple girlfriends who don't live here and also don't have kids. But I was like, I'm going to be bummed if only like 3 or 5 people come. My target was 15. I was like, I will feel so happy and be so excited if 15 people come, thinking maybe we'll get around 10. And then on the low end, I was like, if it's just 3 to 5, like, it'll be fine. But like, that would be kind of a bummer. One person came, and this person came like 40 minutes late. Like, it was not like we were like, and I sent out a email 2 days ahead to be like, reminder, this is what's going to happen from 10 to 10:30. We'll have coffee and bagels. Bring all of your clothes. We're going to set them up. I ordered hangers. I ordered clothing racks. We're going to sort them out by age so you know where to shop and where to trade. Thinking, and so then, like, on Saturday morning of the event, I was like, well, maybe people were confused. Maybe they thought it didn't actually start until 10:30, and so they're just running late. So we go with that. Like, Rachel and I had gotten there at 9 a.m. to set up. I went the day before to build the clothing racks. 10:30 comes, crickets, no one's there. This woman now comes and she's like, this is the clothing swap. And she has like bags, and she had clothes for like a 10-year-old, which I thought was going to be like the least popular group. Most of our clothes were from our kids, which were like baby until like 3 years old. So we're like, yeah, come, like, people will be showing up. No one else came. At 10:45, we were like, okay, something has gone wrong. I started pulling up the event list. I'm like, oh my God, this woman signed up for 7. This woman signed up for 3. Like, we figured out there was also a street fair going on. And then she was texting people. She's like, I'm at like my kids' ice skating practice, or like kid drop off. Like, there was just, I think the timing was off, and a lot of lessons learned. And then I was nervous because 3 or 4 days later, I had my prenatal and postpartum Pilates class, and I'm like, "Oh my god, do I have this Pilates instructor coming to teach a class and no one's going to show up? Like, it'll be mortifying." Um, so lesson learned, I emailed people ahead of time, "Please confirm that you're going please reply back confirming your attendance." 5 people wrote that they were coming, and then the day of this is now for my second event for the Pilates class. Also, before I move on to Pilates class, Dr. Rachel was so great. I was, like, saying, I was like, "I am mortified. I feel so embarrassed that you only work every other Saturday so you can spend it with your family, and here you are having no one come in, and I asked you to do this." And we were laughing about it. She could not have been more cool. We were playing music, like laughing, making reels, like made the best of it. I'm so glad that she was the person I got to go through this incredibly humbling first time beginner experience with, because she just made it so much more relaxing, and that felt really good. So I'm very appreciative of that. I then messaged the owners of Freya's studio, who I was doing the Pilates class with, and said, like, "Hey, we have 9 people registered. I sent out a confirmation. I've had 5 write back that they're coming. I don't know what's gonna happen." They're like, "Don't worry about it. This has happened to us. Like, everybody loves the idea, but then day of, things happen. If one person comes, if 10 people come, like, we're gonna be ready. Don't worry, it's gonna be great." And so already I felt good going into it. The day of, it was raining in the city. It was a Knicks playoff game, so, like, in their studio is in Midtown Manhattan. So I did have 2 people email me that they were pregnant and just didn't feel like getting out, which I appreciate. 1, that they emailed me and let me know, and 2, I would have been that person. Like, if I was working from home and had to get on the subway for a nighttime event, I would have been like, "Yeah, no thanks. I'm cozied up at home." Um, 1 person just didn't come, but 2 did come, and it was so special. Like, when I talk about the beginning, I wanted it to be about connection. 1 mom came, and she was 8 weeks postpartum with her first baby. She said she wasn't going to come, but she lived, like, 3 blocks away. She walked. It was her first time leaving her baby, and she's like, "I'm so sorry." She started getting teary-eyed, and I was like, "Don't apologize. This is a space where I'm so glad you showed up, and this is what it's about, connecting." And it's hard leaving your baby for the first time, and I'm glad that this felt like the right space to come toe dip reentry without your baby. It's so hard. And I even shared with her that my daughter, who's 1, was in daycare all day, and I was working from home, but I had to leave to come set up for this event before I even got to see her. So I was a little bit late, and I was like, "I know that by the time I get home, she's gonna be asleep." So even though we're around each other and she sleeps in my bedroom, I'm not going to spend time with her today for this. And so we were, talking about that and connecting. And, like, again, that was the point, was like, we do all these things as moms, and we just need a point to connect with other women going through it. The other mom who came was 26, 27 weeks pregnant, with her first time baby. She was talking about being, trying to feel it out. She was sort of the last of her friend group to have kids and feeling like the beginner amongst some of the veterans. And it was just nice. Oh my gosh, I forgot. The instructor of the class, Morgana, she originally was going to be the owner, Jenny of Freya, and she's a doula, and one of her doula clients went into labor, and so she had to swap out, which ended up being perfect because Morgana and I live in the same neighborhood. We took the subway home together, and she's a fellow St. Louis girly. And so we were connecting about all the things, being, where we both went to high school. So it just felt like a little bit of it. The second event happened exactly how it was meant to be. And then I had the third event, which was going to be, I called it Share the Love Adult Show and Tell. And if you've seen on Instagram, I've been posting all about these Fruit Riot snacks, which is frozen candy coated in, not frozen candy, frozen fruit coated in sour sugar candy mix. Oh my God, they're so addicting. And I wanted to do an adult show and tell. So, like, something that you would text a girlfriend about and want to shout from the rooftops that everyone should know. Again, the point was really to bring together women, and it was important to me to do an event that was for all women. So you didn't have to be a mom, you could be a mom. Like, there was no, like, any woman would feel comfortable coming to it. So, and it was going to be on my roof, which was obviously a weather risk. The day it was supposed to happen, it was forecasted for rain, so I postponed it. Um, and I was a little bit bummed because I, like, prepped everything. I got all the food, I got all the snacks, and but it just wasn't worth it because, I mean, my family ended up eating the food, but the weather wasn't gonna be cooperative, and I didn't want it to not go well because I tried to rush and force it. So I postponed it 10 days, um, which was for the best. It ended up being such a beautiful night. We had 10 people come of all different backgrounds. I live in the city. There were 2 women from Queens, someone from the Bronx, someone from Brooklyn. Like, it was people from Manhattan. Like, it was just this, like, beautifully diverse group of women coming together. There were 3 moms. Everyone else was not had not entered that phase yet. So it just felt really everyone was talking about, we did a round of introductions, and then everyone talked about what they were bringing, and why they wanted to show and tell it. And it was just great. Like, it was so, so nice. It was the whole point. And afterwards, everyone was like, can you connect us? Like, can we keep in contact? And it made me realize, like, I need to come up with a way to have everybody be able, other than just like, give me your number, give me your Instagram handle, um, afterwards. Cause, like, that was the whole point of the events, of like creating this connection afterwards, is I want you to leave feeling like you found a new person, and like you can go do a Pilates class, or you can come back to the next event I host, or you can connect, get coffee in your own neighborhood, whatever it is. I want people to feel like they're building up their village. Like, one, they're part of the village when they come, and also they're building up their own personal village for when they need. Like, that's the whole point of doing this. And it really felt like that came together in the last one. And so it has me so energized and so excited about what's to come. Um, I definitely need a beat. I'm really, really realizing that my capacity is limited, and really taking stock and doing an audit of how I'm spending my time, um, the priorities. Obviously, my family and my full-time job, are priority 1 and 2. Um, and what I want to do outside of that, like, it started last summer with the Instagram page because I was on maternity leave, nursing my baby all the time, scrolling my phone while feeding her. And I was like, well, I'm scrolling my phone, I might as well, like, create my own things. Started an Instagram page, which then trickled into the podcast, and now the events and the physical space in New York City that I'm trying to create. But again, it started as one thing, and now it's like 4 things, and it's a lot. So I need to really take stock of where I'm pouring my energy into, which is a really good problem to have. Like, I constantly remind myself of, like, 1, this is all optional, and 2, it's all so much fuel. Um, so that's why I'm trying to be really intentional about this summer. We're on the cusp of June. Tonight is a full moon, and supposedly it's one of the most positive full moons of the year because I don't know. I heard something on Instagram from some, like, astrologist talking about why this full moon in the house and that it enters and the way in which it moves unlocks positive energy. If you're woo-woo, take it. If you're not, leave it. I'm leaning into it. I feel it. And it feels like a moment of, let's figure out how to be intentional, because the summer for me personally is so busy, and I want to, like, ride the momentum of May and keep building and planning for the fall. Um, I just had a meeting with 2 women in the city who are also trying to build up their brand and do events in the wellness space, and so we're gonna try and collab on something for later this summer, which I'm excited about. So I wanna still try and do, like, little tricklings of things that feel easy and digestible, but also keep some of the momentum going, um, all while taking stock of my own energy. So this summer, let's talk about it. Well, no, let's not do the whole summer. Let's do June. If you're not from New York, then you might, and you have kids, they might be out of school already. In fact, they probably are. I always got out of school before Memorial Day as a kid. New York City school goes until the last day of June. So tomorrow's June 1st, and my kids are going to be in school for an entire month still, which also feels like tomorrow. So we have so much going on, but they're out of school. So they have, I don't know, personal development days or something. They're off school Thursday and Friday of this week. Um, Next week, I think, is a full week of school, and then they're off a day the following week. But we have a family reunion, so we're going to be going out to Park City, Utah, for a family reunion. All of my cousins, aunts, and uncles. I think there's going to be close to 40 of us, which I'm so excited about. Um, we haven't been together for like a happy occasion, everybody, in a really long time. We're actually going, if my grandfather was still alive, he would be turning 90 this year. And so we're going as a celebration of his 90th birthday. So I'm looking forward to that and everyone just being together, getting outside of New York. But it's also the timing, like everyone else in our family is out of school, and we're pulling our kids out for 3 days, and then they come back, and it's the last week of school. So like our Maycember, even though May's been really busy, is also going to be happening in June. So we have like our moving up ceremony for my daughter. We have the second grade concert. We have the last day of school. And then we go straight into birthdays and 4th of July. My 2 older kids are both July birthdays. It's our 10-year anniversary in July. We're going to be spending time with my parents and my in-laws. And it's just a lot. Like, I feel like I am mentally packing and also have nowhere to even go yet. Like, when you get ahead of yourself, like, what has to get done, but it's too soon to actually start the doing. This is like a perfect example of the mental load. Like, I am mentally and physically, because I'm making lists of packing lists, but like, I just need it to be go time. So the summer's going to be busy. We're going to be all over the place, trying to figure out some events for the fall. Not trying to. I have a couple. I guess I should stop talking around and like beating around the bush. So, the physical space that I'm trying to create, a third space for women here in New York City, I'm working with a lawyer on getting the name trademarked. So, I might have said it on this before. I don't think I would have. As soon as we file the trademark, I'm going to be shouting it from the rooftops. Um, and I hope that happens in the month of June. It came back as high risk in her initial assessment of it. And so we have a little back and forth that we're doing right now of either I really feel so married and committed to the name. And so I'm trying to figure out the category to make it make sense in. But I want to create the third space. I want to build out a brick and mortar. I want a physical space for women to gather and all of these events and experiences that I'm creating and that others want to create. I want it to happen in this space. There's going to be a podcast studio so that my show and other women podcasters can record their shows in person. There's going to be co-working space. There's going to be service-based provider office space. So I wanted to create a space that I wish existed when I was looking for community here. So that's what I'm trying to create. And once it's trademarked, I'm going to be doing all of these experiences under that name, under the brand name, so that it gains brand recognition and really tries to start building up the portfolio of things that it's happening under. So I'm really excited about that. I also feel, I don't want to say, I actually don't feel overwhelmed because I know it's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen. I know that it's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen. And so that's the part that feels like wandering in the dark a little bit. Um, Maybe by July's solo episode, I'll know and I'll be able to tell you. That brings me to this podcast. I have been nonstop releasing episodes since I started. I took a break I did my mini series when I started in October. And then I took a break from publishing episodes in December, but I was recording the whole time. And I've been recording ever since and then releasing episodes every week since. I have recordings through mid-July right now, and I'm continuing to record. I might take a break from publishing in July just to build up a little bit, and I'm going to be traveling, and then I have events again coming back up starting in August. And so going back to trying to audit my time, my energy, my capacity. I feel like attention is also kind of split in the summer. People are traveling. Are they going to be listening as consistently? And I cannot underscore how excited I am about June's conversations and guests. And so I want to make sure that they get the airtime and the listen and the attention that they deserve because the women are absolutely phenomenal. Um, and I'm thinking about not airing new episodes for July and picking back up in August and seeing how that goes. So there's a work in progress. I feel like it's time to preview these episodes. I'm going to consult my list here and see. I think that's everything I had to talk about for this. So let's talk about June. If you have not yet seen the Pull to Pull series, then you have to watch it. This came out in January, and it is the Will Smith documentary. It is 7 or 8 part mini docuseries where Will Smith goes to each continent and meets with a researcher or scientist doing work on that continent. Um, we watched it back in January when it came out because we were looking for something. It was the first snowstorm of New York City back in January. And we were looking for something that our whole family could watch together because oftentimes we do Friday movies. Our kids alternate picking the show or the movie. And my husband and I are like, how quickly can this be over? Because we don't want to watch it. I mean, there's some good ones out there, but we wanted something we were all engaged in. And this was advertised as family friendly. We watched a preview and we're like, great, let's do it. We watched this entire docuseries. It was over a long weekend too, in 3 days. It was so good, so informative. And I love the conversation that it sparked with my kids because it showed people all over the world living very different lives from what we live here in New York City and in the United States. And my kids were like, why are they dressed like that? Why are they talking like that? Why are they doing this? Why are the kids doing that? And so it gave us this opportunity to talk about people living different lifestyles than we do. And that is a good thing. It's good to appreciate these differences and to learn from how people do things differently. And it introduced me to Mary. Mary is one of the researchers. She's a linguist, Mary Woolworth. She is a linguist and she is all about preserving languages that are at risk of being lost. So she was doing language preservation in a small island of the Papua New Guinea Islands. And I just was so fascinated by the work that she was doing. I Googled her, I read her whole bio, and then I found her Instagram page, and I just sent her a DM and shot my shot. And she replied, and we recorded an episode, and it was even better than I expected. I mean, I knew it was gonna be really good, but I was like, "Mary, I could listen to you talk forever." She's so fascinating. So her episode is coming out in June. I was about to say May. Um, Hattie Sparks Collins. Any New Orleans listeners probably know the name. She is a designer in New Orleans. She has her own design firm. She does both residential and commercial interior design. Her work is stunning. Like, I'm such a fangirl. I've been following her since college. You hear how I learned about Hattie when I was in college. She had a brick and mortar store. She then moved, had a bigger store, talked about becoming a mom, the process of becoming a mom, getting married and divorced and finding love again, and how design has like been in her life throughout all of this and finding up how to build a business. Someone I've admired because of when I think about this podcast and sort of living out loud sounds like a catchphrase, but being showing up how you are in the phase that you are. Like, we're constantly going through these identity shifts in either obvious or non-obvious ways. But Hattie has always shown up in social spaces as what she's going through, just authentic and very down to earth. And I think before that was in vogue, like back in 2016, 2017, when Instagram was only a curated feed. I had seen her be very raw and vulnerable, talking about her life in parallel to her work all along. And that's what I think really is a hallmark feature of womanhood when we're connecting in person is we want to be seen and connect about our whole selves and find it challenging. And so, like, I always look to Hattie as someone who's been doing this all along. So I was really nervous to invite her on only because, like, no one wants to be told no. No one likes getting rejected. And not that it would have been a personal rejection. It probably just would have been like, she's not that into it. And she said yes, and it was amazing. So she comes on, and then I was connected through a friend to a woman in Florida who is now an empty nester. And Sheila comes on talking about being, I've talked many times before about a peek ahead. And I talked to Sheila about being, a 2 to 3 stages of motherhood and womanhood ahead of where I am, and talks about what it's like to be an empty nester, sort of preparing. And she remembers back, obviously, to what it was like when she chose to step back from her career and become a stay-at-home mom, and how she stayed involved in her kids' lives throughout school years, and talks about sending them away to college and finding time and joy and fun in her day-to-day life now and what she's doing. And she was a runner, and so we got to geek out about our mutual love of running. She actually gave me a really nice pep talk, and I don't think she knew she was giving me a pep talk, but I was talking about how I really, really miss running, but I really miss being good at running. Like, I used to be the runner that could pop into any workout. I just had this baseline of fitness that I might not be at the leading pack, but I could always hang and like catch my breath. And now I am so out of running shape because it's been so long since I've run that, like, I can't talk with a girlfriend on a run. Like, I can listen, but then I also like need walk breaks, and I still need to build up my stamina. And so I feel like comparing myself to my former running self, she was giving me such a pep talk around like, yeah, but would you rather not run? Like, if you have to be good at it? And I was like, no, I need to just get back out there and do it, and like do it how I have available to me now in my body. Um, so it was a really nice conversation. And I was about to say unexpected. Like, all of the conversations I have with women on the show are great, but you never know what you're going to get out when you're meeting someone for the first time. And like, we didn't really know each other at all. And so it was just really refreshing to be able to connect with someone new. Those are all coming out in June. I'm excited for you to listen. And we'll see what happens in the month of July. I think that's all the updates I have for you. Oh, here's something to talk about and noodle on. Different, because different audiences, I think, on Instagram versus the podcast here. But I've been really thinking about changing my Instagram handle. I started it when I was on maternity leave, and all around me was motherhood and being with the kids full time. And I was so in mom mode. And I thought that was all I was going to know. And so my Instagram name is NYCFam5, thinking that that's what my content would fully encompass. Now that I'm 9 months into 10 months, I don't know, math, into it, my content has naturally gravitated towards the season of life that I'm in. So it was, last fall, transitioning back to work and figuring out pumping and commuting and my working identity, and then motherhood on top of that, and then the podcast. And so I just feel like I've evolved as the content and the woman that I am. And I feel like the name needs to reflect that. So the name that I am noodling on is that NYC Claire. I still don't want it to be my full name, first and last, because if you're gonna Google me, then like I'm gonna make you do a little bit of work and find my last name. Just because I still work, and not I still work, like I'm always going to be working, but I don't want it to just be my last name. Um, NYC feels important because it's kind of part of the identity that feels like a pillar to me here. I think I fought that for a really long time. Um, Growing up in the Midwest, I feel like I always felt not like I didn't belong here, but I didn't know where I belonged. Like I felt like I was trying to find a group rather than create what I needed. Um, and so I felt very, I don't know, like not in line or not, I didn't embrace a New York City identity because I didn't feel like I saw examples of my version of womanhood and me having space here. Um, and so I want that to be an identity that exists alongside New York City. So the New York City part felt important. My first name felt important. I know everyone does like the and then their name, like the Claire Hoon. Um, that just felt very off brand for me. It felt very look at me. I don't know. Authoritative in a way, which I don't know. It didn't feel right. So the wasn't it, but like that girl, like I want to go to that event. I want that experience. I want that, like you can point to it, not like like I'm unique in that I'm me, but I'm not like so unique. Like anyone could be doing this. And so I wanted to be like achievable and attainable. So like that felt like there's a version that exists for whoever wants it, if that makes sense. Clearly, I didn't think through this before I started talking about it. I mean, like I thought through it in my head, but I didn't think I was going to talk about this on today's episode. So here's the brain dump and the live non thought through version. So that NYC Claire, each word felt specific and chosen. And I feel like I kind of just need to change it. I don't know why I'm not. I have two brands that I'm working with that I need to like give them a heads up on to let them know, I think, because they're going to be like, oh, well, we like contracted under NYC Fam 5 and now you're that NYC Claire. So I don't want it to, I want to not do it in a knee jerk or impulsive way. Also, I already reserved the handle. So if there's any stranger out here listening that is like, ha, I'm going to take your name, I already took it. Anyway, maybe by this time next month, I'll have a new Instagram name. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up before I start rambling into any other random topics. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Catch Up with Claire. Please engage with this. I'm really trying to up the downloads, and if you were interested in this and what I'm building, share it with someone. If you know someone who would love to be a guest, if you would like to be a guest, please reach out. Claire at theketchupwithclaire.com, Claire. Um, I'm trying to build this up, and we're getting there. I've noticed the audience has been climbing, so I appreciate all of the new listeners. If you could subscribe and follow along, that all means a lot to me and lets me know that the people I'm bringing on, the conversations we're having are interesting and wanted, and those are the signals I need to keep doing it. I hope you guys have a great June. I hope you enjoy the episodes that are coming up. And how do I sign this thing off? Be kind, be brave, and be safe out there.